showers and thunderstorms out there early this morning. Mainly the severe threat has been in north central Kansas and expected to stay there, but there have been some pulse storms at times getting a bit stronger and may pose a little bit of a small hail threat. But there are other windows that we're primarily concerned with, including later tonight over similar areas that have seen storms so far this morning in southern and southwestern Nebraska. And at all points in these windows are all severe weather hazards possible, especially closer to home in eastern Nebraska tomorrow afternoon into the evening. And we could be watching for some significant severe weather too, and I'll show you what I mean here coming up in a few. But on Saturday there's also a severe weather risk, this mainly for far southeastern Nebraska, but Lincoln still included in a slight risk for the afternoon after the spring game and going into the evening and overnight hours. So right now Beatrice, kind of a damp out there from some recent light rain, South 6th and Perkins Street. Overcast skies have led to temperatures that are mild as we start out here just past 6:45, with temperatures in the upper 50s in Lincoln down towards Hebron, 59 degrees, but a lot of 50s still on this map. Now wind speeds not all that bad. It is going to be out of the south and east throughout the day today and ramping up through the afternoon. Could be gusty around 30 to 35 miles per hour, but largely it is going to be some of these storms that we're already watching for. As you can see, some severe storms just off to our south. Meanwhile, some scattered rain showers in and around Beatrice, Lincoln, Columbus here early this morning. And as these storms continue to travel east, we are expecting a weakening trend by later morning and early afternoon hours. But at this point, there is a severe thunderstorm warning in and around Osborne, Kansas for some quarter-size hail. And you also see this storm kind of pulsing up in Harlan County too, in and around Alma. There could be some small hail associated with that as this continues, but generally expecting the strongest storms to kind of turn and stay into northeastern Kansas throughout this morning. So you'll see that here on Stormcast. The strongest of this expected through about 10 a.m. here in Nebraska before these storms kind of transition and dive a little bit south in and around Beatrice, where they could see some lightning and maybe some small hail, but largely just showers kind of continuing into the early afternoon before we're watching for the better severe threat to start up in southwest and southern Nebraska later this afternoon and persist through the evening hours. At this point, still watching for all severe weather modes, including large hail mainly, but also a tornado or two and some damaging wind gusts. Now, as these further push north and east, we are expecting them to weaken as well, maybe occasional gusts up to 60 miles per hour and quarter-size hail as this is arriving in Lincoln around 10, 11 o'clock tonight. And then another line kind of flares up overnight, which would still kind of hold with it some marginally severe weather possibility, including some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. But generally that activity weakens into tomorrow morning, and that's kind of wrapping up this first window of severe weather, which, as you can see, the higher risk is through south central and southwestern Nebraska for any and all of those severe weather modes that we'll be watching for through the afternoon, evening hours. Now, pushing past that, this activity will continue to the north and continue to be fairly weak through the morning, but we will see some clearing in southeast Nebraska and south central Nebraska, and that's of concern because that would further destabilize some of the areas that we have here nearby with some warmer air and allow some storms to pop up pretty quickly. And at any point in the afternoon, early afternoon and into the early evening, these storms could be significant, kind of racing off to the north and east pretty fast in around Omaha around 4 to 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon and evening, with some isolated thunderstorms still kind of in and around the activity, with that kind of coming to an end around 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Now, with this risk, locally a higher risk, you can see increased and enhanced level 3 out of 5 risk for areas just east of Lincoln, including Omaha and around the Missouri River, but significant severe weather possible with this, as we do have some hatched areas which do indicate that significant risk of, well, what does that mean for a tornado? A significant tornado EF2 or higher possible in this area, 10%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's 10% within 25 miles of a point, which Lincoln kind of on the outskirts of that, so we will be having to watch for that here in areas to the east. And then large hail, significant large hail would mean 2 inches, if not larger, maybe even up to 3 inches possible in this area of red, and those hatched marks meaning that significant hail possible. Damaging wind, not as much of a concern, but we could still see 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and of course that'll bring damage to the area if we do see that. So and then going into Saturday, again, we've got several rounds. This will kind of pivot to the south and east, and the better risk for severe weather will be in extreme southeast Nebraska, that enhanced risk. That includes Falls City for any and all severe weather modes as well. But Lincoln still in a slight risk for Saturday, and mainly in the afternoon, evening, and possibly carrying over into Sunday. So as you can imagine with all this, this is a very active period. You will not want to go, especially tonight, to bed without your phone turned off. You'll want all the alerts that you can get as we will continue to track these throughout the rest of the day today, overnight, and of course throughout the day tomorrow as this severe weather threat increases for us by the afternoon.
Absolutely. Jessica will be covering it all across the rest of today and then tomorrow as well, she just mentioned. Thank you very much, Jessica.